What if you could actually slow down your body's aging process? I mean, really slow it down. Today, we're going to dive into something called Kayakalpa Yoga, an ancient system that makes that very promise. It's a fascinating practice that connects these really deep spiritual traditions with ideas that, believe it or not, are now starting to echo in modern science.
So that's the big question we're tackling, right? Could an ancient practice, something thousands of years old, really hold a secret to slowing down how we age? Let's get into the core principles of Kayakalpa and see what we can find out.
So to really understand how this practice claims to work, we've got to start with its name. Because the word Kayakalpa itself basically lays out the core promise of this entire system.
You see, the name itself is like a mission statement. Kaya literally means body, and kalpa, well, that refers to a vast period of time, sometimes even translated as immortality. So right from the get-go, the goal is crystal clear: to rejuvenate the physical body and fundamentally change the way it ages.
And check out this quote from the founder, Yogaraj Vethatiri Maharshi. It reveals the core mechanism: sublimating and recycling something he calls the sexual vital fluid. But notice the goal here isn't just about physical health. It's about reaching a state of wisdom so deep that even the fear of death just fades away.
So that quote just dropped the key to this entire practice: a vital fluid. Everything, and I mean everything, in Kayakalpa revolves around this one concept. It's considered the body's most precious and powerful resource.
So, what exactly is this secret elixir? How is it made, and why on earth is it considered so incredibly powerful? Okay, let's break it down. This is the sexual vital fluid, or SVF. In this philosophy, it's basically the ultimate superfuel your body produces. Think of it as this highly refined essence that contains your literal life force and a kind of bioenergy that powers every single cell you have. But how is this fluid actually created? Well, according to the teachings, it's this pretty remarkable 7-stage refinement process. Everything you eat is transformed, step by step, from food to juice to blood, muscle, fat, bone marrow, and then finally into this ultimate vital essence.
And this is the critical link to our lives today. The practice teaches that things we all deal with, like chronic stress and just overdoing it, directly drain this vital fluid. And when that happens, our life force gets weaker, which they believe leads directly to disease and faster aging. You could almost call it an ancient diagnosis for modern burnout.
Okay, so if holding on to this fluid is the whole game, how do you actually do it? Well, the system is built around 3 core physical techniques. Each one is designed to regulate, conserve, and then redirect this powerful internal energy.
First up is the Ashwini Mudra. This is essentially a targeted contraction and release of the pelvic floor muscles. Actually, it's a lot like the Kegel exercises you may have heard of. It's said to do 2 things. First, it helps regulate that vital fluid, and second, it stimulates the nerves that shift your body into its rest and digest mode, which is what promotes calm and repair. Next, we have Mula Bandha, which is often described as an energy lock. The analogy here is perfect. Imagine a dam that stops a river from flowing down one way, and instead redirects all that water's power to a generator. That's the principle here: to stop the downward loss of energy and redirect it upward to revitalize the entire system.
And the third technique is the Ojas breath. This is a very specific way of breathing. It's slow, it's deep, and you have a slight constriction in the back of your throat that creates this audible whooshing sound. This breath is basically the engine that physically pushes that conserved energy upward, with the goal of activating higher energy centers and states of consciousness.
So, with this theory and these techniques, what are the actual claimed results? Well, according to the source materials, the benefits are just astonishingly broad. They touch everything from our physical cells all the way to our spiritual consciousness.
Let's look at a really concrete example. One case study followed a 30-year-old woman who was struggling with PCOS, obesity, and high blood sugar. The results after just 6 months of daily practice were pretty dramatic. A marked reduction in weight, a significant drop in blood glucose, and her PCOS symptoms, they diminished. And beyond specific cases like that, the claimed physical benefits all seem to stem from that one core idea of conserving vital fluid. When you preserve this core energy, practitioners report improvements pretty much across the board, from better digestion to a stronger immune system and more energy. But remember, this was never just about the body. The mental and spiritual goals are just as important.
The aim here is to reduce anxiety, create emotional balance, and ultimately, to accelerate a person's spiritual growth.
Now, this all sounds really fascinating, right? But where does this ancient wisdom actually meet modern science? And while large-scale clinical trials are pretty limited, you can find some really startling parallels between Kayakalpa's core ideas and some cutting-edge research. This is maybe the most striking parallel of all. Ancient texts talk about something called Amrit, a legendary nectar of immortality produced within the body through practice. Now get this, modern science has identified melatonin, a hormone produced by the pineal gland, often called the third eye in spiritual traditions. And what is melatonin being studied for right now? Its powerful effects on cellular longevity and the aging process. It's pretty wild.
And the parallels just keep going. The ancient idea of conserving your body's vital essence lines up perfectly with two of the hottest areas of modern anti-aging research. Scientists today are focused on protecting telomeres. Those are the little protective caps on our DNA that get shorter as we age, and boosting our stem cells, which are the body's master tools for regeneration. So, conserving energy to promote regeneration? It's an ancient idea that science is now proving to be dead on.
Which really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? Is the real goal here to live longer or to live better? The philosophy of Kayakalpa seems to suggest that the focus isn't just on the number of years, but on the vitality, the awareness, and the peace that we bring to them. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this one.